All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I had the Elizabeth measure in it, and I have the other version of Elizabeth here. So there's two versions of Elizabeth, so that crashed. Yeah. So basically, fun times. Uh, basically, if we see it in action, I guess Wyvern skins are a good way to see it in action because Wyverns are in a very difficult place regarding flight. Let's see what else we can get here. Let's keep the Wyvern skins. Let's also get, I guess, oh, the deep eyes, yeah. Deep eye tiers. Let's set it to 5 so it doesn't take too long in each zone. Right, Reborn Buddy. So, well, the first filing is a route with the area router, which is another conversation for another blog. It's, yeah, it's too long. It would make this one too long. So basically, it starts flying. You can see here that, oops. You can see here that it's not flying too clumsily because, as I've said, I've been using this version of Lisbeth. Well, you can see here right now, here. It's rate casting because it feels like there are obstacles where it tried to go on a straight line. This zone is very problematic with that because the in-game raycaster seems to be detecting stuff we actually can't see for whatever reason. So yeah, you can see it reached its target, and I guess let's just have it running for a while so you can see how it looks like. Now, you can see it went very easily to that position because, again, this is a hotspot I've been using to test because it's a very difficult hotspot in terms of flight navigation. And you can see that once Lisbeth has meshed around the hotspot, it flies relatively easily around it, and it goes from mob to mob. Now, during the development of all of this, I really needed a way to see what the Pathfinder is seeing, basically to see where the obstacle nodes are getting set. And sadly, Reborn Buddy doesn't have a way to draw into the game like, say, Minion does, because then it would be very easy to see that. But so what I ended up doing was I actually created a very simple Unity project, which is a game engine, but again, this is a very simple project, just a few meshes, a few materials, and a few classes here. And these classes, what they do is very simple. They just grab a debug data JSON file, which is the one I probably showed earlier. I don't remember, and it draws cubes based on the data of that file. So what Lisbeth does, this version of Lisbeth at least, the debug version, is no, that's not the sextant for creates this debug JSON object every time it path finds, so that I can load it here and actually see what Lisbeth sees when it's pathfinding. So you can see that there's already a big chunk of this zone in particular meshed out because, again, this is the zone I've been using mostly to test the flight navigation. And but you can see that the entire zone is not meshed out. This is the entire zone. Let me show you. Zoom out. That's the entire zone cube, and the only parts that get meshed out are the parts that Lisbeth cares about. And you can see here the path that the Pathfinder found. This is the smooth path already, but here you can see what I was talking about, the importance of smoothing things. So what Lisbeth saw, yeah, that's the mob. What Lisbeth saw is, I am here. I have to correct my position into the upper node because that's a problem I encountered where, since the cubes, don't respect the meshes of the game. Rather, the cubes are, just regular in an octree. This cube right down here, basically, Lisbeth thinking it is an obstacle because the cube is part above the ground and part below the ground. So that got meshed as an obstacle because it has a in-game mesh through it. So that's an obstacle. So what I found is that this would happen almost every time. So the Pathfinder corrects the position into the node on top of the node that I'm actually in. Then it path finds from there. And yeah, you can see the path here. It ended up with only 4 nodes after smoothing, but before smoothing, this would have a lot more nodes, and it would be, very in a very cubic manner. Then it finds the mob. The mob was here. You can see where exactly the mob was. This little ball here is on the exact XYZ of the mob, and the cube represents where that XYZ is inside. And yeah, that's basically how the Pathfinder works. And so it's a very handy tool, and I wish I had made it earlier in development. Let's go. Let's see what else Lisbeth is doing. Another stone, right? It's on the D5. Let's see the latest debug. Let's just load that. There we go. Oh no. It has to be named debug. So let's just delete that. There we go. Right. So this is the other zone. You can see it's much less mesh. There's a little bit of mesh over there. Let's see. So here's an interesting thing I found out. You actually don't have to mesh so much if you always approach a mob or a gathering node from above. So actually what I ended up doing is, because basically what Lisbeth is going to do, I guess it finished. Let's see. Yeah, it finished. Let's queue up another order. I guess 20 of these. And, let's manually move out of here so you can see the flight again. Well, let's just teleport, I guess. There we go. Oh, so this is going to be an interesting one. Let's see. Because there's a lot of obstacles here in the beginning. Alright. Start that. Let's grab that quickly. Yeah, it's not a fleshed out tool. Very manual, but let's see if I grab the one. Yep. Alright, so this is how Lisbeth sees the teleport area over there. So basically, we found a path, and if you approach the mob from above all the time, and I actually, how I ended up implementing this is in the Pathfinder scores of the nodes. If a node is below the mob, like from here, because that's the mob, if a node is below the mob, the Pathfinder will get a bigger score, like a more costly score, than if the node is above the mob. So the Pathfinder actually prefers paths that go above the mob and then come down. That's perfect for flying in the way Elizabeth does it, because it means it doesn't have to mesh the ground most of the time. And you can see that here, that even where the mob is, it didn't have to mesh the ground, because otherwise the Pathfinder, what it would often do is that it would try to go above the ground, because again, Lisbeth doesn't know. Lisbeth thinks this is the zone. This is how the zone looks like. And so the Pathfinder is going to think, hey, I can go this way, and approach the mob from below, and that's equivalent in length than going on this other path. But that's terrible, because there is ground here, all over here. So the Pathfinder would be stopping on the ground when it saw that the ground was about to hit its face. It would stop, mesh around, then try again to go below the ground a little bit forward, again remesh, and so on. So when you make the Pathfinder actually prefer upper paths, you ended up with a lot less meshing. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. Fun times. Remember, it got stuck on a rock. So for example here, it didn't need to mesh all that ground because it simply prefers a path on top of it. But yeah, basically this is the, I guess, backup flight navigation for Lisbeth 3.0. If the default ribbon body navigation is not that good, I'll end up using this. If it is good, then I'll end up the default one because it's less maintenance in my part, and so that's always good. And probably made this video too long. I guess I'll make the next videos shorter. Anyways, guys, that's it for today, and I'll see you next time.